What's up guys, and welcome back to Software Solutions, and today we talk about Battlefield Season 1 and the latest updates that came out for this game. Now basically there's Battle Royale, there's Gauntlet, and there's a lot of new features in this game right now, which is new game modes, new maps and stuff like that. Right now at this very moment I'm going to be showing you the best settings you can use for low end, medium end to high end machines. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this has been tested from low end to medium end to high end machines. I even tested this game on a CPU bound PC and then a GPU bound PC. So all you're going to need to do is follow my guidelines from the beginning of my video to the end of my video, and I can promise you, you will be good to go. All you're going to need to do is literally smash that like button if this worked for you, and just follow my guidelines from the beginning to the end of my video. I'm going to go over every single thing inside here, ladies and gentlemen, the graphics settings, where it's literally your performance preset, your graphics quality, your advanced, and then everything else that's very important to change inside this game, depending on the machine that you're running. All right, let's jump straight into this. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so as you come to this little gear icon over here, I highly recommend you just come to this performance preset and just have this at custom and have your graphics quality at custom as well. Please do not come over here and then go to auto where it says balanced, or it says auto and it says performance. Just go to custom and leave it at custom. Now you can go from low to medium to high to ultra to overkill, and then obviously custom as well. Overkill, you'll actually see like things start happening inside the game. The VRAM starts eating itself up. And I don't want you guys to do that. I don't want you guys to do that. I want you guys to have this at custom and then customize this yourself the way I'm going to show you to customize this. Right. So we're going to go to edit and we're going to come inside here. Now, as you can see, this is how I play my game currently at this very moment. But this is not for the benefit of my computer. It's not benefiting my machine at all. I can get way more FPS than this. I can do 300 FPS and above if I actually use the settings that is important for this game. Okay, so I'm going to go over every single thing inside here, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, we're going to go to custom, and then we're going to go over every single setting inside here. Now, I've tested every single setting inside here, changing it, going into different game modes, going into dark spots, very light spots where the sun is shining hectically, looking at vehicles that's burning, looking at the sky. Obviously, when you're looking at the sky, you're going to get way more FPS, but that doesn't matter. The tests has been done, so all you're going to need to do is follow the settings guide I'm about to show you and the things I'm about to show you to change for your specific rig. All right, let's get into the settings that's for graphics quality right here, right now. Let's get into it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, so texture quality does not impact performance in this game. It really doesn't, even with the latest season that's out right now, Season 1 with the Battle Royale, and you're playing Battle Royale, or you're playing all different game modes at this very moment. Texture quality does not impact performance. It really doesn't. It just makes your game look a little bit better if you want your game to look better, and especially if you're on a low end to medium end to high end machine. It doesn't matter what machine you are on. I highly recommend using this option either on high or on ultra. You can even go overkill if you know you got a good enough machine to do this. Now, it really doesn't matter on the machine that you're running. You can run a low end machine and have this literally at high or at ultra as well. It does not impact performance on your GPU. It really doesn't. It actually does not do anything. It just makes your game look way better the higher you put this, and it does not have an impact on FPS. Maybe like 1 FPS, which is not a lot. You're not even going to see 1 FPS, so leave this either at high, ultra, or overkill. It's your own personal preference. I'm just going to leave mine at ultra and leave it like this. Or I can just go overkill and leave it like that as well. Texture filtering. Ladies and gentlemen, right now at this very moment, texture filtering is just literally objects from on the ground that you can see, physically can see on the ground. Now, it's just little physical objects that you can see on the ground. And I highly recommend changing this to just full-on overkill. Just change this to overkill with any machine. Low-end, medium-end to high-end machines. Overkill, you should be perfectly fine. And as you can see here on the right hand side, it physically says that it has an impact of low on your CPU and an impact on low on your GPU. So this is perfectly fine for you to go ahead. If you have at least a decent enough, like an 8 gig graphics card and higher, go ahead and have this at overkill. If you have anything lower than an 8 gig graphics card, ladies and gentlemen, I would recommend just leaving this at high, or then go to low if you've got anything lower than an 8 gig graphics card. But if you have anything higher than that, you can go to high, ultra, or overkill. Overkill would be the way to go. It does not impact a lot of FPS in this game. Please go ahead and do this. Alright, so mesh quality is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually to do with how far you can see. Okay, this is very important on your game. It's very, very, very important for visuals. Okay, if you want to see an enemy that is literally, I don't know, hiding somewhere far, far away with a sniper rifle or something like that, and he's behind a building, and yours is, let's say, on the low setting, Some objects won't even render in on your screen that's far away. Now, I highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen, that yes, it will impact a little bit of FPS on your game, not a lot. It's probably like the highest it will go to is a 7% decrease in FPS if you put this on ultra or all the way to overkill. Okay, it's 7%. It's not a lot if you have a decent enough computer. So for people out there that has a really good computer, go ahead and put this at overkill and you should be fine as well. Or you could just have this at ultra for competitive settings. Now for people that has medium end machines to low end machines, have this at high, at least at high. Because if you start going to medium is still okay. You can still see stuff, but things are going to start unrendering. Literally, things are gonna literally disappear on your screen. If you look through a scope, or I don't know, through your sight or something like that, through a gun, I don't know, 3 times, depending on the sight that you have on your gun, even if you're running around and you're looking at a building that's far away while you're sprinting, you're going to see that some objects are literally invisible. Then as you run to it, it's going to start rendering into your game. Now, you don't want that. You want to have the stuff already rendered while you are in the game. As you launch, as you go into the game, as you start running, as the guys start showing, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go, you want everything to be loaded into your game. Now, for low-end machines, ladies and gentlemen, go to medium. If you have a medium-end machine, ladies and gentlemen, you go to high. If you have a really good machine, I'm talking really good and it runs the game perfectly fine, you go ahead and play this at ultra for competitive settings. Actually, this would be at ultra for competitive settings, and this would be at ultra for competitive settings as well. You don't want the game to look too pretty. You want to be able to, I don't know, if you want to play the game because of its prettiness, go to overkill. If you want to play the game because of competitiveness, have it like this. All right, let's go over to the terrain quality, and this is very, very important as well, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so terrain quality, ladies and gentlemen, literally just basically bumps up the quality of the terrain itself. So let's just say you're looking at the ground, and let's say there's a building in front of you, and there's a tank that exploded and it's burning next to you or something like that. It's just going to make the terrain look a little bit better. Now, something I just want to point out is this, ladies and gentlemen. On the right-hand side here, it says CPU medium, GPU high, and then on your VRAM, your physical VRAM, your graphics card's memory, it says low. Okay, now if you want your game to have a little bit more FPS in general, if you don't really want to care about the depth of the terrain, I will do the exact same thing and I will apply these settings to my game as well. Okay, go ahead and go to low. Do this for all machines out there. It doesn't even matter if you are running the best of machines. It literally is just about the terrain in front of you. It has nothing to do with the objects around you. Okay, it's the terrain quality. If you look at the ground, the physical ground, the ground does not change from low to medium to high. The quality doesn't become better. You'll maybe see an extra stone or extra rock on the ground, a small little baby rock. Big ass rocks and stuff like that are not going to disappear if you put this at low, and then if you put this at high, the rock's going to reappear. That is not how this works, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the terrain where you are physically standing and looking at, let's say, about 10 meters in front of you. All right, that's how far it renders. Okay, so go to low over here and you should be perfectly fine with whatever machine you are running. Have it like this. So it's going to be ultra, 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 and then low. This is how you're going to run your game. Mesh quality for lower end machines, ladies and gentlemen, is definitely going to be either medium or go to high. Please do that, otherwise you are going to literally not see the enemies. You are not going to see them because they may be hiding behind something and the building didn't even render in, or a pole didn't render in, or a dustbin didn't render in, and you don't see him. It's because of the setting. Okay, mesh quality is physically objects that is rendered into the game. That's why I say I have mine at ultra for competitive settings and not overkill. Okay, I would do overkill, but it's competitive settings, so I would have it like this. Then terrain quality at low and leave it like this. All right, undergrowth quality. Undergrowth quality, ladies and gentlemen, is something that I've tested, and I don't really see anything happening in the game if you change this from, let's say, low all the way to high on any machine. CPU bound machines, GPU bound machines, low end machines to high end machines, you do not see the vegetation change. You do not see it. It's maybe like I don't know, the plant moves a slight bit to the right, like an inch. And that's about it. So you can have this at high and leave it like this and you should be perfectly fine. 100% on low end to medium end to high end machines. Run it like this. You should be perfectly fine. Don't care about people making other YouTube videos telling you that you have to put everything on low to make your game run better. That's bullshit. Don't do that. Okay? Don't fucking do that. I did a lot of research and a lot of time spent into this game with lower end machines, CPU bound machines, GPU bound machines, and then tested the settings. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I did a lot of work on this to give you this information. So please, for the love of fuck, smash the like button. Fucking leave a comment down below. At the end of my video and everything, you restart your game and your game runs perfectly fine. Coming back into my video, leave a like, leave a comment, say that these things work, what machine you are running. It doesn't matter. This is give feedback to the community that the settings I'm basically giving you right now is actually working for Season 1 and the latest updates that's out right now. All right, let's go over the effects quality. Effects quality low, leave it at low, and you should be perfectly fine. You do not need to see the effects in this game, ladies and gentlemen. You really don't need to. By bumping this up, it's just going to increase the VRAM usage and basically just mess with your FPS. You want the best FPS and you want competitive settings in this game, and you want your game to also look pretty in general, then go ahead and leave this at low for all users out there. It doesn't matter what machine you're running, run this at low, and you should be perfectly fine. Alright, so volumetric quality, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I tested just to see what it does, okay? This is literally the lighting and how the lighting affects how the environment looks where you are standing. Let's say you're standing in a building, let's say you're standing outside, whatever the case might be. Okay, this has a significant impact on your GPU's VRAM and then also just your GPU in general. What I would highly recommend to do is put this at low and leave it at low and done. Do not, I repeat, do not put this at ultra and do not put it at high. Leave it at low and have it like this. There is no visual difference on the volumetric quality in the game. So basically how the light affects the things around you, okay, has no impact, okay, has physically no impact, does not change how the game looks. Put it at low, because if you're going to start changing things to ultra and high because you think the game's going to look better, it does not look better. It looks exactly the same. It just decreases your performance. It's an FPS hogger. So turn this to low and leave it there. I'm actually going to leave the settings as I'm changing it right now as it is, and I'm going to apply it to my game. Alright, so lighting quality, ladies and gentlemen, this literally just is going to change the lighting quality in the game. So what I highly recommend you go ahead and do is this. Go ahead and do this, please. Just have it at high. The reason why I have this at high is because if you put this too low, a lot of things that is already dark is going to stay dark and be dark. Okay, and you're not going to be able to see the person laying in there. If they don't have a flashlight or a laser, you won't see them. Okay, they will just lay there. They can blend in. Okay, there's a lot of people with the Phantom Edition like me, which has skins for their characters that's completely darked out. Okay, it's blacked out skins, blacked out guns, and all those kind of nice things basically. So you won't be able to see them. And if they lay there, you can literally lay on a site or whatever game mode you are playing, and people will just run right past you. Why? Because they have this at low, okay? Literally, because they have this at low. So, yeah, the setting is a little bit tricky, ladies and gentlemen, but what I would recommend is having this at high and leave it there, because what it will do is it will actually balance out the lighting. So once you go into a different map, the sun is going to shine perfectly fine where it needs to be shining. Okay, and if you put it at low, the sun is not going to shine where it needs to be shining. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. Like I said, lighting is a big thing. I probably took like 20 minutes just trying to figure out what the whole lighting actually does between low and high, especially in gameplay. Alright, so local light and shadow quality, ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend just changing this to low and leaving it there. Please go ahead and leave it there. You changing this to high or overkill, ladies and gentlemen, is literally just going to eat up your FPS. It's going to eat up your VRAM. You are drastically going to see a decrease in performance in FPS by about almost 30 FPS in general, just because of this option right here. Okay, now what it's going to do is it's going to make dark corners darker and light corners lighter. Okay, that's what it's going to do with overkill, okay? But if you have this at low, this is the advantage it gives you. Now it's not going to eat a lot of VRAM on your GPU. It's going to make dark corners lighter and light corners even lighter. So you can see enemies that's laying in very dark corners, and it's much easier to find them and spot them while you're running around, looking at things in your vicinity and around you, and basically while you are playing. Have this at low. This is the best setting for this option right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is what I would highly recommend you go ahead and do with sun shadow quality and shadow filtering, because these two basically play a role with one another, and I highly recommend you go ahead and do this. You can actually see it while I'm standing here. I'm actually going to prove it to you just by looking at this, okay? I've done tests just to see what it does, and I highly recommend you go ahead and just copy the exact same settings I'm about to show you right now. Okay, so if I go to low here, watch this here, this shadow here. Watch it. Can you see at low, it becomes smaller and it looks more grainier, right? You don't want that, so I highly recommend for all users out there, for low-end, medium-end to high-end machines, go to high and leave it there, okay? Then this setting over here, which is PCSS, go change it to this one over here, which is PCF. Have it like this. So high and PCF for all users out there. Low end, medium end to high end. Your game is going to love you for changing these settings, and you're going to have a way better gaming experience with these two settings like this. Okay? Like I said, this is for all users out there. Doesn't matter what machine you are running, run it at high and run this at PCF. Run it like this and you should be good to go. I've done multiple tests to see if this works. Please go ahead and change it like this. Ladies and gentlemen, please, for the love of fuck, smash that like button, because these are settings that I actually went to go ahead and test myself to go and see if they actually work for the people out there that needs these settings. For people out there that is CPU bound, GPU bound, low-end machines, medium-end machines, high-end machines, doesn't matter. Whoever's playing this game right now, the community, go ahead and have your settings like this, okay? Have your settings like this, and you are going to be good to go up until here. Reflection quality, ladies and gentlemen, all you're going to need to do here is change it all the way to low. Why? Because you do not really care about how the reflection looks on the ground, the buildings, and on your gun. You don't focus on that. You focus on the game itself, not the physical, how the game looks and how pretty it looks. Unless you're playing the campaign, then you can go ahead and change the settings how you want it to be at the best of the best. I don't care. But this is for multiplayer, ladies and gentlemen. This is for Season 1. Right? So have this at low and have it there, and you should be good to go. Right, so screen space reflections, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I would highly, highly recommend that you go ahead and change this to off. Just turn it completely off. Turn it off. The reason why I'm saying this is because if you turn this to low or to high, the game intends to make things look really grainy, and you don't want that. You don't want your game to look grainy. I mean, it's going to annoy you. It's literally going to annoy you. And it also has a huge impact on your GPU. It really does, especially on CPU bound cases, ladies and gentlemen. Please go ahead and just have this at off and leave it there, and you should be perfectly fine. Have it like this. All right, so process quality, I would highly recommend that you just go ahead and put this at low as well, because you're already changing things inside here and you want them to basically run with each other. Okay, so have this at low and you should be good to go. Do not increase this, please, ladies and gentlemen. Do not increase it. It actually does say low here on the CPU and then medium on the GPU, so it's going to impact performance. I don't recommend it at all. Just leave it at low and you should be good to go. Now this one over here, ladies and gentlemen, the screen space AO and GI has a huge impact on how this game performs. It literally has a huge impact, and I'm going to explain it to you right now, which one you should be using at this very moment. Alright, so screen space, AO, and GI, ladies and gentlemen, has a huge impact on your GPU. It physically has a huge impact on your GPU. And ladies and gentlemen, what this does is, like I said before, there's another option that does a very similar thing, but this one just takes it a little bit up a notch, okay? So it makes dark corners darker and light corners lighter, okay? That is what this function is for, and I don't really recommend you changing this to the highest that it can be. I can play my game like this perfectly fine with this setting like this, but I don't recommend it. I really don't, ladies and gentlemen. I highly recommend just going over here and turning this completely off. Your game's gonna thank you for turning this off. Trust me, it's going to thank you. All right, this one over here, I have mine at high. The reason why I have mine at high is because it does not impact FPS by a lot. It impacts FPS by maybe like 2 FPS, and you're not really going to see 2 FPS. It says high fidelity object amount, okay? This is depending on the physical object that you're looking at and if it's close by. The further you go away, the further it's just not going to render in at all, okay? So I would highly just recommend leaving this in general at high, and you should be fine. This is now, ladies and gentlemen, for the best settings you can use right now in this settings and the graphics settings tab for all users out there. Low end, medium end to high end. Run it like I just showed and explained this to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go over the rest of the stuff. Please smash that like button. It takes a lot of time making these videos. All right. So all you're going to need to do is press the escape key, and then it's going to say some changes will be applied the next time you join a match. I would highly recommend rather restarting your game in general. If you're playing it on Steam, just restart your game completely. Just say okay, and you're going to be done with that. Now, the advanced, you're going to come inside here, and you're going to come here where it says fixed resolution scale. 100% always, okay? 100%. I had a lot of friends of mine actually complain and say, yo, dude, I'm having a lot of FPS difference, but I don't, it feels like my game's running like absolute dog shit, and then sometimes it runs really well, and then some maps it runs really shitty, and then sometimes it runs really well, and then sometimes it runs really shitty, and then sometimes it runs really well. What I would recommend you do in this option here, over here, the advanced settings, ladies and gentlemen, is this right here. Have your fixed resolution scale at 100%. It will then do the resolution of your screen. So let's say 1080p, 1440p, all the way to 4K, depending on the resolution you're playing this game at. All right? Then your frame rate limiter, have this off. Dynamic resolution scale, have this off. Then your NVIDIA reflex low latency is either on enable plus boost, or it's going to be on enable. All right? It literally says here, NVIDIA reflex low latency is used to reduce system latency, which increase PC responsiveness. This option is always enabled, while NVIDIA frame generation or multi-frame generation is turned on. Okay? So I highly recommend, highly recommend that you go ahead and do this over here. If you are CPU bound cases, put this on enabled. If you are GPU bound cases, put this on enable plus boost. Okay, right now at this very moment with my machine, I run this like this on enable plus boost, and it runs perfectly fine. Test this out. You're going to physically need to test this out. Just do not disable it. Do not, I repeat, do not disable this option. Okay, if you have this option, either enable or enable plus boost. Test them out. It's a very important step to take. But what I recommend, my personal opinion, is enable plus boost. Have it like that, and you should be good to go. Then you get your upscaling technique, and I highly recommend it depends on your machine that you're running. So you can either turn this off completely, and it's just going to do your native resolution and everything perfectly fine as is, or you can go to DLSS and use your NVIDIA card, or you can go to FSR and use your AMD card. You can even use FSR on an NVIDIA card, it doesn't matter, or you can use this option over here, which is the XESS, which I don't recommend at all for people to use. It just in general, don't use this option. It's actually a bunch of dog shit. All right, now, like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, I had a friend that has an NVIDIA card, and he has a 2070 Super. That's the card he's running. Now, he had this like this. He had everything on AMD for some reason. The game automatically put everything on AMD for him. I don't know why it did that, but it made his FPS go. I told him, dude, just please go ahead and put your FPS counter on so I can actually see your FPS. So that CPU there is actually showing my FPS I'm doing. This is MSI Afterburner that I'm using currently, and that's the in-game one to show me what FPS I'm doing. So I told him to put it on, and we were physically looking at 11 to 50 FPS max in this game. So the game absolutely felt like trash to him. Literally trash. So I told him, yo, dude, come inside here. Let's start changing things inside here. We went to go ahead and turn the things off that needed to be turned off, and basically turn the things on that needed to be turned on. And he went to go and do that all himself, and the game runs now perfectly fine, and he's not stressed about it. He doesn't want to throw his computer out his window, and he's running his game perfectly fine. So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, DLSS is literally for NVIDIA GPUs out there, and then FSR is also for NVIDIA cards, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would rather use this option if I have an AMD card. If you have an AMD card, go with that option over there, and you should be good to go. All right. Then you get this option over here, and yet again, I'm going to say it. I'm going to repeat myself. XESS is a bunch of dog shit. Turn it the fuck off and don't use it. Right. With my game right now at this very moment, my game and my rig prefers this option, the FSR with my rig. My 4070 Super and my 14700K, it runs FSR perfectly fine, perfectly fine, and with my upscaling at balance, it makes the game look really good while having the performance I want, while having the FPS that I want. So if you have an NVIDIA card, ladies and gentlemen, out there, and you want your performance to be good, and your gameplay to be good, and everything to be good, you have this at FSR, and you have this at balance. Frame generation turned off. I'm going to have people in the comments down below saying, yo dude, I have frame generation on, and my game runs perfectly fine. If that's the case, have it on. Turn it on. You just answered your own question. Go ahead and turn it on then, okay? If frame generation makes you see more FPS, you are still doing the exact same FPS with it off or on. So if you turn this completely off, all right, it's going to show you your raw performance. If you turn this on, it's going to show you AI created frames in this game. You will see more frames, but you will basically do either half that FPS or even less. So it's just creating AI frames. But I'm going to say it again. If this works for you, turn it on. If it doesn't work for you, turn it off. My game doesn't like it. It does not like it when I turn NVIDIA frame generation on, so I turn it off, right? This one over here, off, and then the performance overlay, you are just going to put on simple, and that's what you're going to see over here, so you can actually see the FPS that you're doing while playing this game. Now, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of more settings inside here. I'm talking about, like, you know, like the changing the colors and changing your crosshair colors and stuff like that. That's your own personal preference. Go ahead and change those settings yourself. I just deep dived into the graphic settings for you guys. Apply these settings as is. So all you're going to need to do is go out of this, press escape, press escape, press escape, press escape, and then just say quit out of your game. Come back into the game. It's going to reinstall your shaders for you. It's going to apply the settings you just applied to the game for Season 1, ladies and gentlemen. And if this worked for you, smash the motherfucking like button. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new here. It will mean a lot to me. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, if this actually helped you and you see a massive increase in your game and your game runs perfectly fine right now, there's a super thanks button down below. Click on it and smash that like buttons. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new here. And as always, just here to help the Battlefield community. As always, hope this helped you, and peace out.